1,600 payments professionals, one city. We're here at the Merchants Payments Ecosystem in Berlin. And for the next few days, the topic is all about transformation. Are you the one doing the transformation, or are you being transformed? So what we'll do during the next few days is we'll have short interviews with different peoples from all facets of payments, from the merchant side, from the acquirer side, alternative payment methods, fraud, you name it. What we'll do is we'll be addressing which topics are most relevant right here. My name is Dwayne Gefferie, and I'll be your host here at MPE Live TV. Brice, thank you very much for joining us today at MPE Live TV. We just had our first session on stage already. You were a part of it. What are some of the takeaways that you have surrounding what we're seeing already here at the conference?
I mean, number one is agentic commerce, right? Everybody's talking about it. How do we make this happening? How do we have the first agentic commerce transaction happening here in Europe with a European merchant and a European acquirer? So everybody is very excited about that.
Absolutely. So that's one of the topics that, of course, comes across. What are some of the things that you're most excited about to have the conversations during MPE?
Look, I think it's all about how we partner together with the ecosystem. There has been a lot of work happening the last 12 months around Agentic, and what we are now looking for are how do we get everything together? How do we bring the merchant? How do we bring the PSPs, the gateways, the acquirers all together around the table and make those first transactions happening?
Fantastic. I think for a lot of the merchants that are here, strategy is very important. Things are changing every single day. We have Agentic, we have tokenization, we have orchestration, we have different payment methods as well. What would be some of your tips about strategy in 2026 when it comes to payments?
I think that the key thing here is to understand that behaviors of consumers are changing, especially if you look at the Gen Alpha generation. They will use agent by default. They will delegate a lot of whatever they want to do in their life to agent. That's going to become the new norm. And I think if merchants want to be ready, future-proof, they need to understand that changing behaviors of consumers, of the younger generation, and adapt all their processes so that they can anticipate those changes and be ready for this future where agent will be acting on behalf of consumers. And that's very important because it will require a lot of changes, but it's also representing a huge opportunity for merchants to be the preferred, to be the default merchant for the agent. And so what you will see in the future is when people will feel comfortable with the agent, when the agent will be doing the right thing, the merchant will potentially become the default agent for those merchants in the future. And so you're going to move from a situation where merchants are having episodic sales when people find them on the web and they go back to them potentially, to a much more recurring behaviors where whenever the consumers will need one specific item, they will always default back to the same merchant because that's the preference of the agent. So it's very important to understand that consumer behavioral shift that is happening right now.
Fantastic. I think another topic that always comes up, especially being in the industry for such a long time, is authorization rates, right? It seems to be back on the map again. We have, of course, agents, but also just e-commerce. We have PSD2 leading into PSD3, dealing with all of that. So maybe my question is, if you're a merchant right now, what would be the most important thing that you need to do to make sure that your authorization rates continue to increase and to continue to get better?
There are really two things that they need to do, right? And we have proven data to show that. They need to do first tokenization, end-to-end tokenization, right? What we call network tokenization. So that's the token that travels from the merchant to the acquirers all the way down to issuers, because they increase the approval rate, because the issuers feel comfortable about approving those transactions. So there's a very clear uplift in terms of approval rates for the merchant. But they also helped to address the risk of fraud. They've also been able to bring the basis point on fraud much lower. And so that's number one, right? Tokenization, end-to-end tokenization. Number two is authentication, leveraging biometric capabilities. From all the different authentication methods that we know, biometric is the best one. And when you go a little bit deeper, we also know that passkey, so embedded biometric capabilities on your mobile phone, on your smartphone, on the tablet, is how you reduce the friction to the minimum level, right? And that is, again, creating the best-in-class user experience, increasing the approval rate to the highest level and minimizing the fraud, because biometrics can hardly be stolen. You don't need to remember the password. You don't need to go to a different application if you're using the embedded biometrics of your smartphone. So it's really the best-in-class user experience and technology that you can use. So tokenization and biometric capabilities.
Fantastic. So I want to dive a little bit in on some of the things around the conference itself. We're just getting started, right? It's just been an hour since the doors have opened, and it's already extremely crowded. What feels different this year than last year or even the years before?
Again, I think last year, David Birch started the conference saying, how are agents going to shape the landscape of e-commerce and retail business? Frankly, it was the very early days. We had only very limited understanding of what was going to happen. Today is very different. We already have standards. We have done the first transaction globally. We're leveraging existing technology like the tokens, again, authentication and biometrics and passkeys are there. We've been working with Google in order to create what we call the verifiable intent specification, which allow the Google standards, so the LLM standards, to work with the payment specification. So the standards are there. We're also working with 𝗍𝘗 to make this fully interoperable. So compared to last year, there's a huge difference in terms of how clear things are on how we're going to enable those future payment to happen through an agent.
Absolutely. I think that's really one of my takeaways as well, is that last year was probably a lot more about uncertainty. Now we see so much proof and so many companies changing their strategies as far as what's happening and to adapt to it. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway that I have. It's that it's all about transformation this year. It's all about adaptability as well, and making things that actually work, that satisfy the customer's need, that help companies actually continue to grow and become better in this ecosystem. Brice, I want to thank you very much for your time. It was a great interview, and hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.